Rami and Naomi, welcome to our second show of the Define Yourself. I'm so happy you're here. Let me do a little bit of intro for everybody in the audience. I have known Rami and Naomi for, I think it's been near 3 years now. They're master NLP trainers. Their approach to business and life is that from the depths of their heart, they firmly believe that the day you were born is the day God decided the world can't exist without you. And they enjoy working with purpose-driven entrepreneurs and leaders as our NLP meta skill, and these are some new words that we're going to dive into, is so powerful and empowering that they ensure their clients' values match their values. And they're dedicated to helping people reach their unlimited inner resources. They're originally from Israel. They have a successful track record of growing and running 8-figure companies. And they did this in a very intense country where rapid changes make you very resilient. So they become flexible and creative entrepreneurs. As top NLP high performance trainers with over 30 years of entrepreneurship experience, they've developed powerful training experiences in human understanding, communication, and personal growth. They're dedicated and devoted to continuing the research in NLP field to expand that and broaden its reach, and to the application of NLP to such domains as health, wealth, and spirituality. They fold into their program the combined MBA background experiences as well as Kabbalah, Jewish wisdom. And this is what makes the difference. So again, welcome. Again, for those new folks who don't know what our show is all about, I will let you know that I'm Ellen Seidel, and I'm the founder and creator of the Seidel Method, and it's a multidisciplinary approach to maximizing human potential. And what breaks my heart is seeing professionals and managers who were kind of like me 15, 20, 30 years ago, who didn't believe that they could reach the next rung in their career ladder. And I help these professionals and managers to thrive in their current role and to use it to position themselves for further growth and impact. And what I discover, and what I hope other people discover, and I've heard this through going through this process, is that they also, and perhaps more importantly, gain increased meaning in the work they pursue. And so the Define Yourself show is all about really having a conversation with captivating, empathetic, and motivating individuals. So happy to have Naomi and Rami here. Fit it to a T. Because we as individuals possess a unique ability to tap into and uncover our extraordinary human potential. And what could be more exciting in the realm of exploring human potential than really understanding how that can help us at work and beyond? And it's from the perspective that prioritizes each of us as a whole human first, and then you could say, employee, business owner, you can fill in the blank. And so it's all about, understanding and embracing the exciting arena of human potential. So again, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for hosting us.
Yeah. And you guys hail from California, is that correct?
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Okay. Well, at least now, not back in the day. So I'm going to start with kind of the obvious question, and I'm going to switch the scene here so you can read the question. As masters of NLP, can you describe what NLP is for all of us? And I think maybe, Rami, you were going to start out.
Sure. NLP is a broad field. The easiest way to understand what NLP is imagine you're holding your phone in your hand, your mobile phone. Your mobile phone has many applications, and it's a powerful device, but you can only use it to the extent you understand your knowledge on how to use it. A meta skill, NLP is a meta skill that enables you to tap into your deeper resources, your inner resources that you already have, which are below your level of awareness even, and maximize your potential. So it's kind of, if you think about it, is a skill that enables you to use all other skills that you already possess in a better way, in a more resourceful way, to the extent that you fulfill its potential and your potential.
Wonderful. Wow. And so I think you might have a story to share a little bit about when you were 5 years old, and maybe that speaks to a little bit of your dedication for helping others and kind of the huge awareness that you had when you were 5.
Yeah. You know, they call me the wise guy, but not because I'm wise, because I'm always dealing with the why questions. And
You're wise too.
and since when I was 5, like any other boy at age of 5, I was curious, and I was, I dared to do a lot of things. One of them was trying to climb a wall, barefoot, a wall like I think it was 15 feet tall. And I decided to climb it. And for that purpose, I saw metal bars. And I said, okay, that's a good, it's a good ladder. I will use that to climb the wall. So I climbed on barefoot on those metal ladders, and to hold myself on one hand, I hold one of them, the vertical metal, and on the other hand, there were kind of wires, getting out of the wall. So I said, okay, that will be good. So I hold them as well. Those wires were electrical wires, open electrical wires. So what I did, I just formed an electrical circle. I was electrified almost to death. Now, if you know biology, what happens when you get electric, such a high electric voltage in your body, your muscles shrinks. You cannot open your muscles; they get closed. So there was no way for me to release myself out of this electrical circle that I formed. An angel came. I don't know what happened. I was thrown away from that wall. The wires came into my body all the way through my hand. I have this scar here, and the doctor said that I was saved from death, and I was reborn, and that stayed with me for a long time. Like, why? What just happened? I was all by myself. Nobody was there to save me. I couldn't save myself. I was, closing the electrical circuit, and here I am, alive. And there is a reason for that. And what I learned is that we are not. Everyone thinks he's someone. We are not someone. We are some of one. Every one of us is a small part in the bigger picture, small piece of puzzle in the bigger puzzle. I will say that every one of us is a soul, part of a soul of the bigger soul, and we all there is a reason, there is a purpose for why each of us is here, and that was something that was keeping my curiosity to find out why and
how can I make the world a better place too. And at the time of the incident, maybe God felt either mercy for him or for me. He wanted me to have him when we meet later on.
Well, I'm still going to call you a wise guy. You got to be careful with this knowledge now. No, that was beautiful. Wow. That's just unimaginable what you went through. Okay. So Naomi, you and I have worked together for quite some time, actually, both of you, since you're both my NLP master trainers. And I think one thing that would be really helpful for people to understand is, how do we tap into our own resources and our own subconscious mind, and maybe explain a little bit about what these resources are.
Yeah. So here's the thing. We are soul in a body. And when we try to disconnect, right? That brings us also to the Kabbalah that we'll explain later on a little bit more. But like when we try to connect to our higher intention and mission, we need all parts of us aligned together so the behavior is aligned with the intention. So we were preconditioned based on the time until we were little children with certain set of filters, certain sets of beliefs, limiting beliefs, values, and certain identity. Who am I, right? Like some people, it's enough that they were called stupid, right? And then the minute they said to themselves and they believed that, right? That's the results they got. So,
Right.
so we needed the alignment between the things. But here's the thing: people don't know that they have the resources within them because they are so filtered out, right? They are like blind. Think about like blockages, right? So even if they want, right, like consciously they want certain thing, if they unconsciously something hold them back, and they feel like I'm taking one step forward, million steps backward. There's something bigger than what they bigger than themselves. Kind of the feeling is that at the moment that doesn't let them go through whatever they want to go through and get the results. That makes the difference between getting goals and setting goals, right? So absolutely, the NLP helps you tap into those resources that are like kind of like hidden underneath, right? Like a prime concern, what we call, like, for example, the deeper level of values that you're not even aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
So hidden below the surface, right? So you know, like the iceberg, right? In
Right.
fact, with the if you look at the picture,
Yeah, the rock. Yeah.
right, there's so much below the surface, right? There's so much below the surface that that we are blind to, and only when we release. So, like in Kabbalah, we call it like a vessel. We are a vessel to absorb the ultimate light, the ultimate light. Yet, if the vessel is full of junk, right, of all those darkness, right, how can I absorb the light?
Right.
So,
So I'm curious because I think we spoke before, and I know examples of successful students that did transformation, you know, or clients, how you helped, that might help the audience get a little bit more understanding of these resources. So maybe the two of you can talk about one example each of a transformation that happened through NLP.
absolutely.
Sure. One of the example that I love to share is this 86-old woman that reached to me, and she was like really couldn't move from her couch. She was sleeping on her couch. You know, she has a PMR, you know, inflammatory in her body, and she was drained from energy, and she couldn't. You know, she's 86. Is yeah, it's still young, and she felt that, you know, she there is no meaning for her life. So she reached out to me, and I went and I did some NLP, few NLP sessions, 4 NLP sessions with her. The thing is that we can connect through NLP, we can connect with our subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is what operates the body, runs the body, and we can connect with it and make the subconscious mind our ally. And the subconscious mind is fully resourced to keep us alive, to keep us healthy, to to heal our wounds. And when we connect with the subconscious mind, and there's a certain way to do that, certain techniques to do that, we can form this, become an ally with the subconscious mind, and have the subconscious mind help us to get the results that we want in our life. And what I did with her was exactly that. In 4 sessions, she texted me a few days later, that she got her blood test results back, and they were back to normal. That was like shocking, amazing, and very made us very, very happy to this day. Yeah.
And absolutely, yeah. It brings you this joy, the constant testimonies that we get, and that's what I love is about NLP, that it helps not just in one aspect of your life. So health, the Rami example of health, it brings us so joy. And think about it, when your health is better, then you can shine your light better, right? You can absorb better of whatever it is that you can do to fulfill your potential, right? And it when you we think about other testimony that is not necessarily health. So I called one of my student and I said, hey, Naomi, her name is Naomi too. I'm going to use your testimony about like that. Since you studied that, you told me that you got a new house. And she said, Naomi, you're wrong. I got 3 houses since I've learned it. So, right. So it definitely helps any aspect of the life. And that's what I love about it. Right.
Yeah.
That's what I love about it. And I'm glad, Ellen, that you combine it into your business too, right? Into your the service that you give and your unique mission too.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So I think there was one more example that you might have had about the businessman who was having a tough time sleeping and making a decision. Rami, you remember?
Yeah, I was in a conference, and there was this colleague of mine there in Europe. There was this colleague of mine there who was came, and I said, "What's going on with you?" And he said, I can't. I wasn't able to sleep for two nights in a row." And I said, "What's going on?" He said, "Well, I have to make this huge decision about, they have a corporate in Europe, a decision that involves tens of millions of euros, and I have no clear mind. I don't know what to decide." And so I took him, and I did something that we call know-nothing state. It's a high-performance state in NLP. It's an application that was modeled from NASA. So I did this process with him. It's about 20, 25 minutes. And out of a sudden he said, I got it. I know. And it was such an amazing moment.
That's so wonderful. Yeah, there's nothing better when you can help someone and you see their aha and their, big realization. Wow, that's fantastic. So I know, Naomi, that when you've been teaching NLP, you talk about everybody has their own model of the world. Maybe you can do a little bit more explanation about what that kind of means and how that helps, all of us who are practitioners of NLP to help our clients. Yes. And our clients if they understand it.
Right. So when I mentioned like a few minutes ago, when we talked about like this set of filters and like all this pre-programmed, preconditioned, based on that, we have this self-concept about ourselves, about the world around us. Right. So imagine every person has their own model of the world. They don't understand themselves sometimes. Right. When you ask a person, what do you want? It's like, I know what I don't want, right? Like things like that. So how difficult it is when you try to understand other people's model of the world, right? And that's the understanding that it gives you this advantage in life, because then you can come prepared to anything you want. And think about how nice it instead of being reactive and impulsive, if we can actually be proactive.
Right. And so that model of the world would contain or include like my belief systems, my perceptions, the values. I mean, is it like just pretty much all of that? Is there more?
Yeah. Yeah, there is other things like meta programs or like how we are pre-programmed, right? Like, so the way we do things, like the strategy, we are doing it now on automatic because we don't think about what we did. Wow. But like we were actually learned that at certain time, right? And we have like this unique or special preference, right? So like some people, if you would show them like a set of like, let's say 3 coins with a little difference between them, some people will right away say, oh, they will see the sameness of these 3. And some people will see the difference between these 3, right? So it's so interesting, right? And try to have two people have conversation when one is like seeing only the similarity and the other see only the difference. They can really get on each other's nerves, right? So,
right. It's so funny because at work, when having been in project management and software development for years, I could see the pattern, and I'd be able to say, "Oh, but if we keep going down that road, in like 6 months or a year, we're gonna have like a problem, like a big problem." And the issue that I had is that people didn't have my frame of reference because of their model of the world is different than mine, and they didn't necessarily even share kind of even the definitions of some of the words I was using. I mean, it sounds kind of crazy, but people have a picture, in their head. And so it was like not connecting. There was rapport, and they were both trying to understand each other, but there wasn't like a connection. And so that's really, really interesting about that. So I think
when you think about it, Eileen, everyone is operating based on this concept of his self-image.
Yes.
And everyone has concepts about everything we do. The thing is that we have some of our self-concepts we are aware of. Most importantly are those self-concepts that we are not aware of. Those self-concepts are operating like programs that runs our life. NLP come into this picture when we say that NLP is the study of subjective experience. So because there is one thing when you deal with group, or you deal based of probability, and another thing when you deal on when you take a experience of subjective experience of someone, and you know how to analyze, how to study, how to extract the strategy of his behavior, of his strategy of his thinking, what's going on below the level of awareness on other person, on ourselves as well. Then we can, as I said, as a meta skill, we can tap into our full resources and better understand the other person and how to communicate with them.
I have an example of that that I'm just thinking of now. And that was when I would help people stop smoking in 2 sessions or less when I was doing hypnotherapy. One gentleman in particular, below the level of his awareness, he just remembered thinking he looked like sexy and attractive to women when he was smoking. And it was this picture he had in his head from when he was 6, 7, 8, I don't know what. And that was just like, it stuck with him, and that was below the level of his awareness. And so he, maybe he didn't even like how it made him feel or anything. But that picture he wanted to fulfill. So I don't know if that's a good example, but
it's absolutely great example, because it shows the limiting connection that we have, that means that, right? Smoking, I'm cool, girls likes me, so that means that. Now go break something that is so strong in you, right? And try to break it, right? So that's why people are like trying to quit smoking, but like if they have this hidden belief underneath the surface, as you said, you need to know what is the connection that you need to break in order to break it.
Yeah. And that kind of leads me to, I think you guys are aware of, I created a mentoring program at Costco that was kind of under the auspices or the umbrella of a diversity inclusion group. And what always kind of made me light up, I still light up because you guys know I'm a little bit of a nerd, is this idea of, even learning styles is a kind of diversity. Are we auditory, are we kinesthetic? Are we, do we have, all the pictures in our mind? And so maybe you can help us, I don't know if I call these perceptual modalities, or, how you think about it from an NLP lens, because I think that could also be kind of what you were saying, Naomi, about someone could look at 3 coins and see the differences. I'm a difference person. I have to work hard to see commonalities, but differences I see in a nanosecond. And so how does this lead to, challenges in work environments? People are doing the best they can, but if they're unaware of these pre-programmed, situations. How can we make that a little bit more, illuminated for them through this lens of NLP?
Yeah, especially if you think about it, Ellen, you're so familiar with that. It's like if you think about diversity and inclusion, right? Like there's so many differences, like people background, different culture, different age, right? Like, so if you come to the table, right, with just like, that's what I want, and that's the model of the world that I present, that's going to create a lot of chaos and crisis, right? So what I like about NLP is that it's not about you should do that, or you shouldn't say that, or you shouldn't tell me that. It's about curiosity, of understanding also myself. So like, why am I so triggered? So like, if let's say Mary, right? And we talked about it in Texas when we had to, in a conference, we had to give a lecture about diversity and inclusion and how NLP, work with that. So when you think about it, let's say Mary, okay, she's so efficient and she make everything in her possible to be efficient so she can leave at 5 to go back and be with her kids, right? And then her boss, okay, we can call him Bob, okay, is telling her, is really upset that she's leaving sharp at 5. He's like, don't you see we have crisis here? How dare you are like leaving at 5? Doesn't matter. It disregards everything that she did all day when other people are streaming on Google or whatever. All he sees is that she's leaving him alone in this boat. Okay, that's what this is. And imagine what she feels when he's like giving her the face and make her feel guilty to leave. And she also needs to be able to shift the state really fast. And how many people that never learn those shift abilities and like NLP or Kabbalah or something can do that? And then she comes home and guess what? Her kids are asking something and then she's reacting because she carries, the face that her boss did and disregarding or did appreciate her. So like understanding the different model of the world and like be able to have a conversation and feel great about and confidence from within. And you talked about the different, what we call favored representational system, like some people are more visual, some people are more, auditorial, right? Some people have more kinesthetic. So like, let's say, even if the boss telling her something, and he speak to her in a language that is not familiar to her, let's say she's about feeling, and he's talking about like, that doesn't seem well to me, or that doesn't, right? She doesn't understand what he wants even from her. So right. Even those little things, as Cialdini would say, right? Make this little tiny change, the small changes that make a big impact. And the world, it's not just staying in our like career environment and the work environment. It's impact everything in our life, the way we treat other people after.
I love what you're saying because it reminds me a little bit of DISC, and I know it's different, but it's kind of interesting because I think it'll illustrate the point. Is that depending on your DISC style, if you guys know about that behavioral assessment, the Ds are all about results, right? And so a D can misperceive a goal of let's say a C. Because C's want all the data before they make a decision because they want to be right. They want to have the right answer. They want to have the high quality. And so how there could be misunderstandings from a DISC personality. You're saying, even set that aside or take that and add to it this model of the world that's completely different. Each person with each person's pre-programmed beliefs, person's, triggers, all that. And then you get like, you can have conflict. It's like very, very, natural, unfortunately, and how NLP can help it. So, Rami, did you have some additional thoughts here?
Yeah, of course. The NLP is the difference that makes the difference. There is one thing to go through a questionnaire, analyzing questionnaire, and gathering the results in order to understand how people, the programs that runs the people's lives. And it's a totally different game when you know to do it as you go. When you meet a person, NLP give you the meta skills to understand the person as you speak to him, as you communicate with him on the go, quickly, immediately, and deliver your communication in a way that extract the results that you want. That's the difference between NLP and any other technology out there.
Right. And I've seen that in action with Naomi, because I'll present a situation and she'll be like, asking me all sorts of questions. She's kind of like, I don't know if I'm going to say this correctly, so you guys can make sure I'm honest with the audience, but it seems like you're watching and writing down my word patterns, like the patterns of the words that I choose, because I'm building out the mental model, the model of the world that you're trying to like step into my shoes and hear it that way. Is that more or less what you guys are doing?
Absolutely. We need to listen to people more carefully. It's about listening and curiosity, because the person is consciously, he just talk. He doesn't think unconsciously how he makes those limiting connection and links and those things that is pre-programmed. And when you hear them saying this equal that, or that causes me that, it's like you want to see that so you can break those patterns, so you can challenge them. Not but say you shouldn't look at that X equal Y. Not by that, by asking the question and make the other person think, wait a minute. There is more to that. There is behind this boundary of the problem. It's like induction approach, right? It's induction approach. How can I break those boundaries? And if you think about like Mary and Bob, right? Like there is like, how can she learn to change and shift those states and be able to get back to grounding, relaxing, so she can be now in a state of having fun with her family. Otherwise, it's ruined everything. She might as well stay at work. You know what? If she cannot go from to the state of like serving their family, right? So there are like things that you want to ask. So, for example, a question that she can ask herself, and we can ask even the people who are listening now, right? Like you can ask something like, as she remember a time when she is totally in flow and focus, okay? What is present in that state, okay, that usually not present in her other state of mind, in her usual daily life? And then like, yeah, people probably now write and thinking, okay, wait a minute, when I'm in flow, what it presents, okay, that doesn't present in my usual daily life, okay? So now it makes her think, and kind of start to recognize, wait a minute, what is like, how this, this flow state looks like? What does it feel like? What does it feel like? What picture I have when I'm in this flow picture? What sound do I have in me, right? Like, so those little awareness, and then like be able to be familiar with that and know the difference, right?
Well, real quick, I love reading. I'm gonna laugh. And my kids, when they were younger, they were like, "Mom, when you're reading," and by the way, when I'm reading, I'm wherever my book is. I'm in the land of the book, wherever that might be. I'm not here like on earth. And they're like, we would say, "Mom, Mom, Mom," and I wouldn't hear them. So what was present in the flow state was me being really focused to such a degree that I didn't even hear my kids. But anyway, maybe that's not what you were going after. But that I love this question.
That's excellent, because you're aware of what is it that make you in flow, and it's amazing. It's amazing to be aware of that, right? It's like also like be like the person who looks and he sees someone else in the flow, and you comes and you're like disturb them, right? And then they're like screaming at you, or they ignore you, or whatever it is, and now you're going and you say, you ignored me, right? No, you have to have sensory acuity and pay attention, right? You don't want to disturb a person when he's either angry or like in a flow, right?
So let's talk about that. I love that. Sensory acuity. Okay, hold on one second. Let's put a pin in that one. When you were talking about, you said something about, I have links, limiting links. So when I translate in my brain, I'm thinking, okay, so I've attached to some concept or idea a limiting thought. Am I saying it correctly?
Yeah. Or a limited belief, right? For example, all the rich people are thief. They are stealing money.
Right.
They cannot have it like in an honest way.
Right.
Okay?
But
So
that might be subconscious. In this case, we're talking about a subconscious belief that hasn't risen to my consciousness. Right.
exactly.
Okay.
And then you wonder why I don't make money or why I don't, right? Like if that's something that it in you, then you never want to be rich, because rich means that I'm a thief.
Right.
I want to be a thief. It goes against my morals. It goes against my values.
Right. Okay, good. So what did I just put a pin in? I want to go back to that. Remember that phrase?
Sensory acuity. So sensory.
Yeah. So please explain that for everybody, because I understand what that is now, but and it's amazing. Like, it's really helpful. So yeah, please explain that.
So we have tendency to mind read people. Okay. So we see someone like that. We are like, oh, he's happy. Okay. He's smiling. He's happy. We are mind reading a lot of the thing. At the same time, you can smile like that out of nervousness, out of feeling like I want to kill someone, God forbid. Okay. But what I'm saying is like, sensory acuity is about like almost like freeze the picture and listen to the person when he talks, for example, also non-verbally, and looking at the color, like think that we usually don't look at them, even like the dilation of their how do you call the pupils, or like thing that usually people don't notice, and it's like this minor shifts, okay, in the person, and almost like freeze the screen and see when she said that, I looked at her face and it was like symmetric, not symmetric, all those little things, so I can be familiar with that person. What does it mean to him, right? Like you gave example before, Ellen, that even the meaning of the words does not have the same meaning to other people. And we have this game, right? Like I did it one with a woman empowerment. I gave them the word sex, and I said, everybody write me what it means sex for them. So some people said intimacy, some people said headache. Okay, so exactly the same word, right? So
and did they have different facial acuity during that one?
yeah, it was
blushing.
Exactly. So it is, so sensory acuity, it's like, I'm not about mind reading. I'm not about like, I'm listening. I'm like so curious. I'm admire the person in front of me. And I'm like, just is a whole model of the world. Is a whole world. Is a whole world. And I'm trying to meet him where he is. Yeah.
I was going to laugh. Like, I can see you guys on TV now. There was a TV show about like people that could, read lips or read body language. I mean, I know that there's, years and years of training, but I can just see you guys now, on some TV show, figuring out the whodunit or something.
Even this body language, right? Okay, so they would say something, okay, like someone that is probably now lie or whatever. They say, wait a minute, what if he's just itchy? Come on. They like to mind read and generalize. You see, that's another thing that our mind and the model of the world does. There's so much information comes our way that at certain point we can only absorb 126 bit of information per second, not the 11 million thousand, or right, like the millions of information comes your way. So really quick, we need to generalize or distort some of the information or delete some of the information. And that's bring the X equal Y, right? I cannot like have everything at once, right? If I tell you now, did you think about your feet touching the floor? No, you will like filter it out because you're focusing now on the interview here.
Right.
So it's so fascinating, and we have to be so careful from doing those generalization, and we do it. So like if the boss say that, oh, he's so cruel, he's like, he is like probably doesn't have sex at home and is taking it out on me, right? Like all those, so that's why I'm saying it's like there's so much we don't know about ourselves and why I'm reacting like that and why I'm so impulsive. And then like we go back and we go, what? Why you're so upset or something? So we are not about why even, right? So in NLP, it's not about why you're so upset, because then I'll defend myself. It's about what is the pattern that limit me and how am I thinking and how can I change the way I think in order to break those limiting patterns.
So when I had my hypnotherapy business, my first mentor with that also knew a lot of NLP, and I was there were times where I was like feeling very stuck, like I think I know this is the way to go, but I'm not really sure, or and finally he's like, to get me unstuck, he's like, doubt your doubts. I'm like, what? he goes, doubt your doubts. And it felt very, hypnotic. I don't know. I was like doubting the doubts about myself. So is that an anti-doubt? And now I can move forward. So anyway, I don't know what you would call that in terms of NLP techniques, but it did like help me. It really did help me get unstuck.
Absolutely. And I'm like very spiritual person, so it's like if really quick, like if you think about even Bible story, right? Like when Pharaoh said, don't all the newborn baby, like all the newborns baby, like the boys should go into the water, and like and still you saw that they didn't stay in those circumstances, and they look beyond, like they had this belief, no, we are still gonna have children and babies. And look, Moses came up. Imagine like Moses' mom doesn't believe and limit herself because Pharaoh say you stay in the, you're not, why bring him kids then, right?
Right.
So the ability to break those boundaries and like go beyond. So
that's amazing. So I want to get back to Mary and Bob, and then I want to know about how you weave Kabbalah with NLP. So I think that's a good example, because one of the things that I'm trying to do with this program too is really help provide insight into how we haven't tapped the potential that's within us, which I think this whole conversation has been a great example of that, and maybe leave a few tidbits. And so if you were in a session with Mary, we'll leave Bob aside for now, but how could we best equip her to have the conversation with Bob, and how could we equip her to change her perspective, like really quickly? I know that reminds me of the amazing book, Man's Search for Meaning. And the quote, which I'm not going to say exactly right, but it's basically between stimulus and response, there's where our choices are, right? And that we can make that choice, and let's expand our repertoire of choices. And so what I'm interpreting from you is we have all these inner resources. And so if you could help me help Mary in this like example, what do you think we can do to equip her for, having the conversation with her boss, but firstly getting her state changed? Because you're right. I'm sure she would be triggered. If I was Mary, I'd be triggered, because she gets lunch, super efficient. She prides herself on the efficiency, and our boss is like just looking at the clock.
That's goodness, Ellen, that one lady that triggered you, it's gone. You're neutral to her thanks to those. So, but like, okay, so like even like when we go back to Mary and Bob, let's say her boss, right? So like when she asks herself, okay, what is like available, like what is present, right, in the time that I have this flow that does not present in my usual day, right? And now she pay attention to those things, right? So she can like use those to have a state before she comes and talk with her boss, right? She can decide, okay, what resources that that are present in this flow state that I feel confidence within me, how can I bring them here now? How can I bring those into the table? So like she can choose her state, she can choose her physiology. Also, she needs to know the intention of the meeting, because many times people fall into the behavior that's not going to take them into the intention. So we need to have this alignment. She needs to also be familiar with the model of the world of her boss and knowing what drives him, what is important for him. Like kind of, I'm sure by now she knows a little bit his values and beliefs. It reminds me, Danielle, one of our students, she said she had to talk with the manager of her daughter. So she knew, like before she learned NLP, it never worked. It's like talking to a wall. And all of a sudden she comes now thinking, wait a minute, what is the most important thing for him, right? What is the values that are important for him, right? Like what are his beliefs, what could be his limiting links, right? So you come prepare, right? You come prepare, you meet him where he is. There is even like a game that like almost like a game that we are step into their person model of the world before we even talk to them. So you want to bring all those things and be in a good state, right? Because if you go in the state, oh, here's another okay again, you know, or you go and scare, he might like fired me or something. Is, you know, that's going to impact the whole atmosphere of the conversation and the energy of the conversation.
Yeah,
Wow.
your intention, your outcome, your desired outcome should be your GPS during the communication process. And a few things that were mentioned before that Mary can use is listening. Listening skills is second to none in NLP. Listening verbally and non-verbally. For example, listening to the predicates, as we mentioned before, someone can speak about how, you know, good he sees life, and someone will say the same thing, how good I feel life. They think they are speaking about the same thing but using different language. It's like Chinese and English. People who prefer auditorial way of speaking, when you speak to them visually or kinesthetic, they won't grasp it.
Right.
There is a miscommunication there. That's
Right.
one simple thing. Another thing is to understand, when you listen, understand from which logical level the person you communicate with is speaking to you. Is it from the behavioral? Is it from the belief and values logical level? Is it from the identity logical level? There's a huge difference between those two. And when you know how to listen and understand where this person is coming from, you can approach it. You can adjust your communication. You know, the meaning of the communication is the result that you get. If you want to get your outcome, you need to be flexible enough to first listen and understand what you're hearing, and change your communication in order to get the outcome that you want.
Absolutely.
So one more story, and then and maybe your feedback. I might have told you guys this, but when I got cancer the first time, I was 39, and kind of the scales fell off my eyes because I know I was no longer invincible. We caught it really early, so that was awesome. But what I didn't realize, and I realized years later, was that I formed a picture in my mind of me small and cancer really big, like right next to each other. And is that kind of what you mean about a model of a world, and how, you know, maybe that was an unconscious strategy. I don't know why I would want to do that. But and so even though I'm very much an extrovert, I told everybody, I told nobody. I told my boss and the two people that worked for me that were the managers. And ultimately that was a bad decision for me, because I kind of wear my heart on my sleeves, and people must have known something was going on. And so, but that picture, I just didn't realize I had formed that picture. So is that an example?
That's an amazing example, because the picture that we have in our head, we call it like the internal representation, the picture and the feature that we have in the head. It's really impact the results we get, right? Is like, so I'll tell you how we can help the people, what to do in a case like that, but I'll tell you really quick that this girl, right, like I told you, one of the students, like the doctor said to her, oh, you have problem with the heart and stuff. She comes over and she's already exhausted. She said, oh, you know, he said my heart, you already start to behave according to the new identity and the new thing that he told her about it. And she's like out of breath and things like that. And a day after he said, you know what, that was the wrong, you know, diagnostic, it's not yours even. And all of a sudden she's happy, smiling. Come on, like, so she suffered for nothing just because someone put upon her. So how much we put upon ourselves, as you said, this picture of like, you are this small and this, the cancer is so big, right? So here's a fun thing to do. First of all, be aware of the picture and think about the location of the picture. And we can, in that case, you could like replace even between this little and big. And also you can, the limiting picture, you can push it away from you far, 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 and make it like a little tiny stamp. And you can step even what we call it like step out of the picture, almost like, and change the location of where is the picture. You can change the feature, like if there is this voice, I'm not enough, or I got that because, you know, I sinned, or all those limiting patterns and values and things like that, then you can like change the voice to a minimize. Oh, you are so this and you're so this and stuff, right? And make it funny. make it funny, like you're breaking those patterns and you are challenging this limiting beliefs or something. And as soon as you do it, it impacts your state of mind, your unconscious mind, and the results for sure.
Yeah. Well, what I ended up doing, just to finish a little bit about my story, was that Craig, my mentor, said, "Okay, Ellen, you have to enter into a cancer contest." And I'm like, "What?" and I, is there such a thing? But anyway, they were the hospitals in the area of Seattle and Como TV and some of the local news put together this opportunity. And so I tease people that some people get 15 minutes of fame, but I had 30 seconds because I won the second prize, and I did a 30-second, advertisement. And it really made me think, like, what can you convey in 30 seconds? And I was like, wait a minute. And, I was raised, very logically. My dad went to MIT, and, it was just like, if, I don't know if this is actually physically true about biology, but like, if you can change every cell in my body in 7 years, then aren't I a dynamic human being that is so much bigger than that static picture that I made bigger than me? I didn't tell everyone else, and it was like, I had to work through it that way. And it was just a beautiful thing. And so thank you for explaining it out, 20, 15 years later.
And plus, remember, like, you change the focus. What he said when he turned it into a competition of healing, and the ability, like, changing the patterns, like the ability of the body to heal itself, right? And God breathed in us his soul, right? So, like, we have it within us, right? So he changed the focus, right? As soon as he changed the focus, you were in a mode of healing.
Well, and this is a perfect segue to Kabbalah, because I've done so much, spiritual work since then. I didn't maybe have the tools at that time to really think about what, who I am, and that I have a soul and all of that. In which case, that's way bigger than this static picture of a, my breast cancer with a C, on my forehead or whatever. And so, yeah, please share how you guys, weave together or combine your Kabbalah with your NLP.
So that's
Hold on one second. I keep forgetting to move to our next scene.
That's a perfect question, and I'll let Rami answer it, because, like, Rami is so deep and spiritual, and but it's definitely has to do with soul.
So first of all, what is Kabbalah?
Yeah.
What is Kabbalah? We said that the Bible, the Torah, is about what to do. Kabbalah deals with why and how. Why we are here. Why we exist. And how should we operate in order to, and Kabbalah is in Hebrew, the word is, it's in Hebrew word, it means receiving. So there is the energy, the abundance energy, godly channels through which everything is done in this world. And Kabbalah is about how we can make ourselves a better vessel, a proper vessel to observe, to receive Kabbalah, to receive these energies, so we can transform those energies through our doing to make the world a better place. That's Kabbalah. It's about why and how. Now, when we talked earlier about meta skills, about you can only use your phone to the extent that you understand how to use it. What is it inside? The same it is with us. So, the most valuable asset that we have, people think it's time. No, it's us. And we are the most valuable asset in any area of our life. If we don't understand ourselves, how can we, extend our reach to what we have and make the resources that are within us available in a way that we can, maximize those resources. So Kabbalah is kind of giving us the tool to really understand that who we are. We are a soul existing in a physical body. Nobody on earth gave till now the tools to really tap into what is the soul, what is the DNA of the soul, how can we connect to different parts, different level of the soul. That's Kabbalah. Kabbalah is giving us those tools, and by connecting to our soul, our divine soul within, our higher soul, we can and align it with our who we are. I said that there is the me, myself, and I. Okay, me is the one that will operate in this world. Myself is for myself, or it's our personality, and the I is the soul that is connected to God. When you understand all of that, you can really make your living with a meaning, with a purpose, and fulfill yourself.
Wow, that's so deep. I'm like, we could have a whole hour or two on this topic. Can you maybe help me make the connection to the NLP then? So how does the wisdom of the Kabbalah, express itself in your trainings with NLP?
Absolutely. So in fact, I'm working on those days with Robert Dilts, is one of the developers of NLP. I'm working with him on what we call NLP 4th generation, which is the soul NLP. It's this application that was missing all those years. How we balance between ego and soul. That's the dance of life, balancing between ego and soul, and knowing and understanding what is the soul, who is the I within ourselves, enable us to use other NLP application to the fullest. And there are ways, NLP techniques as well, modeling from NLP world, that allows us to understand and tap into the DNA of the soul and really align between the parts and whatever whatever our self-concept is, and change what we need to change, adjust what we need to adjust, add what we need to add. It's a full fascinating field.
That's amazing. I know since you guys were with me from the very beginning, you kind of know a little bit of the story of how I reached my motto. Don't find yourself, define yourself, and go beyond. And that it kind of reflects on that, just to kind of close out our session here in a minute or two. The define yourself part of this is for me to, with curiosity and, an invitation, I guess is the right way, to anybody who's in the audience to think more deeply about not the one word that defines you, because that would be against NLP. I'd say 12 dozen movies define you. Even that's probably not enough dense information. But we can think about our character, we can think about our values, and we can be much more intentional about defining those. And then in the process, we can also keep in mind what we can control versus what we can't control. And having the locus within, of control within us, at least, to the very extent that Dr. Frankel talks about, absolutely is always inspired me. Between stimulus and response, there's a space. And that in that space lies our freedom and power to choose our responses. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. And it sounds like NLP is kind of partially how you help individuals, define themselves this way that I'm describing, in seeing themselves as control, having the ability to tap into these inner resources, either with someone, or they learn them themselves, these different modalities.
So. We are operating based on pre-programmed program patterns that we conduct our life. The easiest way to find out that this is the way it is like elicit. Think about 10 values that are important to you. When you think about those 10 values or 15 values that are important to you, then The first 5 is easy. Then you have to think more, and you have to think deeper. And then when I will ask you to reorder them, which one is the most important, second important, third important to you, that will be very difficult to you. Now, each of those values, and there are criteria as well, that how do you know these values fulfilled? What are the criteria? What are your criteria to your values? And this is subjective experience. Everyone has own criteria to each of those values. Then every one of those values is a belief. It's a belief, and there is a set of ideas behind that belief. Some of them are limiting, some of them are supporting. We operate our life without even knowing that they are there and exist there.
Right.
And we are surprised that we are where we are.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. This is so amazing and so deep at the end here. I do want to give you an opportunity to share a little bit more about your Manage Your State workshop. So hold on one second. I have a link here. Do you want to give folks in the audience just a little tidbit of what they could expect in that workshop? Because we have to start. We have to have the first step before we can get to steps down the road.
Yeah, before Naomi will elaborate on it, I just want to, in a few words, to explain why is it important. Why is it important for us to be able to manage and control our state? If you are in sales, for example, you probably heard that the first thing that you need to do when you approaching sale is to build rapport. I will suggest for you to consider that the first thing that you need to do is to manage your state. Because there is this institute in Southern California. It's called HeartMath, and this institute is an institute that researches the heart, and they found out that there are between 40 to 60,000 brain cells in our heart that continuously, permanently communicate with our brain. And our heart is a strong radiator. It radiates electrical signals in a radius of 10 feet around us, 8 to 10 feet around us. So we say that the heart is the place where emotion lives. Think about what you radiate when you enter a meeting. Whatever you radiate, other people feel it before you even open your mouth. That's your state. Now, if you don't control your state, if your state is low and the other person you want to communicate with has a stronger state than you, guess which one will win? Which one will influence whom?
Stronger state influences the weaker.
That's not only when you enter, that's during the conversation, during the sale, during the communication process. How you manage and control your state, how you hold your state before, during, and after will determine the results that you get.
So yes, right. So that's so true, and that brings us that what it's about is like help them get those 3 amazing techniques to tap into the state they need and want, and also learn how to be less triggered, right? and more confident, because we know that confidence, if you don't believe in whatever you sell, then nobody will believe it either, right? So
Right.
And of course, to have this alignment, right? So you don't say something, but you don't really believe in it, and like have this those miscommunication and things like that. So
that's funny that you said misalignment, because we tend to think that the words are. We say that death and life is in the edge of our tongue. The words we say are very powerful, yet it's only 7% of our communication. 93% is non-verbal communication. 93%. And that's even, two of the prime directive of the subconscious mind are, one is the subconscious mind responds first, is the first to respond and never lies. All right. So your subconscious mind, if you don't hold your state, your subconscious mind, the other person will get that before you even notice that something changed within you. So whatever. So what Naomi is sharing with you is so powerful.
Yeah, so we want to be in a state that our behavior go together with the intention of a win-win. We always want a win-win intention. So, and we need to be prepared.
I'm wondering, you had mentioned, Rami, that, try to get into like when people are like slumping down or kind of like concave, then they can, potentially feel sad, and that the physiology limits their ability to try to be happy. And that conversely, if kind of talk about the power pose, but it's like really hard to be sad if you're like in this power pose. And to me, those are, I don't know if that's in your class, but to me, those are amazing insights about how, we really are all connected, So anyway, I don't know if you wanted to say anything.
Yeah, it's kind of funny circle, your physiology affects your state. Your state affects your physiology, and you can approach your state, changing your state. You can approach it from mental aspect or physiological aspect. You can approach them from both aspects. One of the easiest way to change state is change your physiology. We all like when we feel powerful or when we want something, we do like that. That's powerful, right? And when we are sad, when something happens, we tend to bend our shoulders and lower our head, and everything changes just by changing your physiology. If you sit like that and you want to feel happy, try it.
Doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Or when you sit like that, your chest is up and you feel strong. Try to be sad.
I know.
It won't work.
It's so funny how you mentioned this the other day, and then I just heard that exact statement being quoted from someone who's a top neuroscientist saying the exact same thing. And then this thought, I have a funny sense of humor, but I just realized that when I would feel really, no energy and stuff, and then I'd be like, let's go to the mall. And I go to the mall with my daughter, and, I'm 5'5", she's 5'10". And so her legs are longer, right? And so I'm like, slow down, except for if there's a sale. Because then I'm like, I leave her in the dust. So it's like, I didn't even realize like my physiology, and, this was mental, like I wanted a good deal. I just all of a sudden, like it wasn't there anymore. That state of like, you're going, I'm exhausted. And anyway, I don't know if that's a funny example.
No, it's a great idea. And add to it the internal representation, all those pictures we have in our head, right? And again, if you're like in the mall and you can see something that triggers you, and you can have like the most fun, and all of a sudden you see the wrong person that the last one you want to see right now or something, that's the internal representation. What kind of picture comes up in my head, right? How can I really quick change it, So
yeah. So everybody now in the audience knows I love a good sale. It's a trigger for a positive emotion. But anyway, I just want to thank you guys for being so generous with your time and your wisdom. I just love it. And before we close out, well, I'd already shown the other slides for folks on the, watching this. You can go ahead and reach out to Naomi and Rami and learn about your state. That just sounds like a dynamite introduction to NLP. And maybe if they're like me, they won't stop with an introduction. They'll go all the way down the rabbit hole of NLP. So again, thank you so much. And we'll see you guys again.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you.